I'm Jesse Dewey. We're with the Crowfoot Ranch and Meats, and we live in Victor, Idaho. And originally, we would come out and feed with a team of horses and a sleigh. It'd be every day, small bales, feeding it, labor, time, and then we started getting into using tractors and round bales, and that's a lot of fuel, a lot of expense to that. Coming out every day, tractor, processor, fighting deep snow, and it just became a matter of feeding from November all the way through part of April. That's a long time to be feeding cows in the winter and burning a lot of fuel. So we looked into what's called bale grazing, and with the bale grazing, we actually set up bales in the fall and through the summertime. As it comes off the hayfield, we pick spots like these that we set bales out. We pull the strings in the fall before they start getting frozen onto the bales. Makes it a lot easier. And then we use electric fence and move the fence and give those cows X amount of bales per week, so that we don't have to be out here every single day with a tractor. There's a lot of benefits from cutting down our yardage cost to having the added fertilizer, the added nutrients back into the soil, as well as the water holding capacity that the so-called waste would be giving. The soil and the grasses are just going to come back way better, and it'll last for a good 5, 6, 10 years even before we would need to come back and bale graze in that same spot. So when we first started doing this, we actually would come with the tractor in the winter and just set out maybe 6 bales for 3-4 days at a time, and that worked, but it still didn't get us to our end goal of not having to start a tractor every day or even at all through the winter. And so that's where we started to set them out in the fall and do it that way. One thing is with our electric fence, we'd only use one wire right next to the bales of hay. With an electric fence, the snow makes a great insulator. So we learned that we had to use 2 wires, one wire that's hot and one wire that's a ground, in order to keep the cows from just going right through it. We learned our lesson the first time doing that, and they ended up getting into all the bales, but that also gave us an opportunity to test out giving them larger portions, which in turn became a good thing. So now with this that we're in right now, we've gone 4 weeks and never had to move an electric fence. We've never had to start up a tractor, and it's made life fairly easy trying to feed cows in Teton Valley. With the bale grazing, we do account for a little bit more waste, if you want to call it that. For us, it is just adding nutrients back to the soil and adding water holding capacity. We figure for about a 15% waste. Now, even with a 15% waste, which is probably on the high side, we are still able to save money. I mean, that's 15%. We use a lot of fuel. It justifies having that waste versus trying to save hay by running a tractor and burning fuel.
James Dewey, Jesse's dad. We have been 4th and 5th generation cattle operation up here in Teton Valley for years. I grew up here, made a living up here. It wasn't easy, but we made it work. When Jesse and his wife and family moved back and started helping out with the ranch, we knew we needed to do some things different in order to make it work, to make it enough money for our 2 families. And they came onto the operation and had some good ideas. One of them in particular is the bale grazing that we've been talking about. One thing that we wanted to make sure that you were aware of, when we would feed years ago, team and sleigh, the amount of so-called waste that was left in the spring when we would move cows off of the feed yards, just about the same amount of material left over as there is in the bale grazing right now. So to say that there's a lot of waste with the bale grazing, very little. And a lot of people, it's a misconception that we're doing things out of the norm, which is okay. We got to think out of the box in order to make agriculture work. Every operation is different. What we do here may not work for somebody else, but you can tweak the ideas and learn from people's mistakes and ideas and make agriculture work for the community.
One of the main keys about the bale grazing was that it reduced the labor that we needed to do every day by going out multiple hours a day, feeding, being in that tractor, and it allowed us to free up time in the day to direct market and focus on our grass-fed beef that we sell. We have been able to work on our website, get that up and going. We service areas in Teton Valley, Rexburg, Idaho Falls, and we've also added more to our meats business besides just grass-fed beef. We do pork in the summertime. We also have started raising pastured chickens, and so we will implement that into the bale grazing areas and allow the chickens to go behind the cows and be able to go into those bale grazing areas, kind of scratch and dig up in the all of the waste, the leftover, the manure, everything that's been left out there. They can dig through and kind of aerate it for us. The other thing is the pigs as well, their natural ability to root. Let them go into the bale grazing in the spring, let them root around, and also aerate it, kind of break up any big, large pieces that would cover the grass and actually choke it out. So it'll help distribute that better so that the grass can grow. We started Crowfoot J Meats back in 2017, and it started out as just selling a little bit of beef here, a little bit of beef there, maybe some ground beef to people, and it's just taken off from there. It went from being maybe 5 head that first year to now having almost 100 slots available with our processor that we can be able to provide a local grass-fed beef to people in Teton Valley and the surrounding areas. When we started Crowfoot J Meats back in 2017, my wife Amber, she was kind of the brains behind it. It was her idea. She said, "Hey, why not start selling meat to people? I mean, it's something that we have. It's a good quality product. We eat it, we enjoy it. Why not share that with other people?" One thing I have learned from my dad, and I guess I should back that up, it's a lot of things I've learned from him. Some of them being from hard work to being able to see the positive in things, having a little bit of faith in knowing that something's going to work, even though you might look at it and say, hopefully things work out this year, and knowing that it will if you put in the hard work and the time into it. And that's been probably one of the best things about our lifestyle and what we do, is we were able to go out and do things as a family. I grew up right next to my dad, out doing chores, fixing fence, feeding cows, moving cows, and now that's something that I get to pass on to my kids as well. My wife Amber and I, we go out and we'll go take the Ranger and go move cows, and we've got all 4 of our kids in there with us, and it's just a great thing. It's fun to see them be excited about getting out and being part of the ag community and ranching. That's one thing that I probably wouldn't change, is having a desk job where I have to sit behind in a cubicle all day long. I can't stand still for that long, and it just would be a hard thing for me to do. You know, it's in my blood. Ranching something that you've got to love, you've got to want to do it in order to make it work. And there's ways that you can find things to do to make a living with it.